It's still the same statement, but nonetheless, John made it, and he was divinely inspired. God is love, and he that dwelleth in love dwelleth in God, and God in him. Think of someone you know who is doing this. See what happens. It might be a close friend, or you might just take Jesus Christ. I believe he loved both thieves on the cross. I believe he loved everyone he healed. That's why they were healed. And by saying he loved them, I mean he knew them. He knew what was in a man. Knowing them and loving them are synonymous. For if God is love, isn't the Son of God love too? Isn't everyone loved if God is? And if you do not recognize that love, you are not loving them. Jesus healed by loving. He didn't even have to see the ones he loved. He didn't have to see the nobleman's son. He loved them sight unseen. Why? Because everyone you're loving is yourself. Oneself. Don't you love yourself? Everywhere. And so when you want to love others, you first got to love yourself. If you love yourself and know yourself, you are loving everyone. If you don't love yourself, there's no one you can love. That daughter, that son, that mate is the invisible Christ, the self that you are. So you've got to love universally, or else you're rejecting your own self. And that's part of what John is saying here. He's forcing you to recognize your universal self. And when you do, you're automatically loving, because the nature of your being is love itself. And then that love is released. It's also incredibly perfect. If you love God, you must love your brother also. If you do not love your brother, you do not love God. And the commandment was to love God supremely. So you must love your brother, or you do not love God. And every time you violate one of these simple directives, you cut off your own water. Jesus had the secret so well in hand that he lived in a state of love. You could touch the hem of his robe for that reason. You were touching love, and love healed. Love heals finances as well as bodies. It puts bones together that are broken. Love does the miracle works because the Father within is love. And when you have love, you have the Father within. John could just as easily have said that all the way through. Whoever loveth the Son hath the love of the Father within. He that loveth not knoweth not God within, for God within is love. God loves us. That is why we are called sons of God. Love is of the Father within. God and Christ are with everyone who loves God. And proves it. It's not a loving with a voice. And proves it by doing, by hearing God's commandments. To hear is to obey. And I command you to love one another. I command you to love one another. I regret to say that's a command we have somehow bypassed. It stops at the ocean and not across the shore, or it stops at the end of your lot and not into the neighbor's lot. The presence of divine love within you is something to be realized in your soul consciousness. Please see if you can find that level now. Divine love within me, within you, is present. The Father within is present, and the love of the Father within must therefore be present. I'm sitting on a gold mine. How much divine love is present within you? 100% of God is present within you, and although I have all of the divine love of God within me, you have all of the divine love of God within you. You do not have less or more than anyone on the face of the earth, because you have infinite divine love within you. I'm sorry, sir, I have no oil. Oh, well, pour anyway. I just have a little bit. Well, pour. All right. And then lo and behold, it's a bottomless cruise of oil. Just keeps coming. As you pour your recognition of divine love, you never reach the bottom of it. If you will cultivate that, you will find it is one of your most important assets. It's something you cannot live without. There's another step now. Once when Joel was unable to love somebody, he said, "Father, you do it for me." The clear channeling of this love is not something that you direct. It's the Father's job to do it, but it's your job not to intervene with your mind. That's a rather delicate operation. I cannot direct my love to you, nor you to me. I can live in my identity as Spirit, God, God's Son, and recognize Spirit, God's Son as you without division from me. I can recognize that we are the one life. And now that divine love in me is flowing toward you, not because I directed it, but because I recognize your identity and my own. I bear you no ill will. I harbor no judgment of you. I think of you as perfect in the eyes of the Father. I recognize you as not a physical human being, but as the Spirit of God. I recognize you as incapable of any form of evil. I recognize you as eternal self. And the more I know the truth of you, the more the divine love of the Father in me is released in you and in myself. You're going to have to experiment with this. You're going to make errors. But you're going to also discover how you can step aside and not interfere with one of the most miraculous divine plans that could possibly exist. And you will be startled by the dominion that is given to you under all circumstances. When you have made the effort to honor the commandment of the Father, that you honor the Son, the Christ, in everyone, and the love of the Father will then flow through you. I don't find much of this in Paul's marvelous chapter on love. I find it inspiring. It's well worth all the adulation it has received. but I can't find the divine love in it that is to be released. And so I have not read it to you. Last year, maybe it was this year, we all meditated, and although we didn't label it love, we let our consciousness see the perfection that exists in Poland and in Russia, spiritually. Maybe you never noticed the results, but the Nobel Prize for Peace went to this man who started the labor unions in Poland. I feel a relationship between that and the work you did. The moment we recognize the spiritual reality there, world recognition followed for this man. Even while he was practically in captivity. It's important that you see the power that you release when you look past the physical into the one invisible self. Did you realize that you, each one of you, is alive now, everywhere? Can you grasp that? You are alive everywhere. Why? Where do you stop? Where does your life end? Can you think of a place? Would it be true to say you only live inside this room? That would be a wrong identity. Would your identity stop outside this room? Where would it stop? Can you possibly be living now in all time? Where would you stop? Eternal life is alive where all time seems to be. Are you not eternal life? It may not have dawned upon you that you are alive everywhere. And it probably has not dawned upon too many people in our world. But I find that in the practice of it, you cover more ground in 5 minutes than you could cover in one whole lifespan of living. I am the Spirit of God. There is no place in the entire spiritual universe where I am not alive. Isn't God alive everywhere? God never shortchanged the Son and said, you can have my life in this part of the world and not in that. I really want you to give that a great deal of thought and a great deal of contemplation and a great deal of meditation, because it's going to hit you so strongly that one day you will cease thinking of yourself as a limited life in any way. That is a truth that has power. And that power will be made manifest when you rest, abide in that truth until you know it as well as your own name. I am alive everywhere. That was the truth of Christ. Alive everywhere. I am omnipresence. Alive everywhere. That little form you work out of on this earth has limited you geographically and time-wise. It persuaded you that you are where the form is. But I, consciously, the I of you, lives where your spirit is. And you should start living where your spirit is, not where your physical body is. Your spirit is everywhere. Why should you confine your living to a fraction? You won't do it in all one gulp, but it will surprise you. It will begin expressing itself independent of you once you set the ball in motion. I live where my spirit is. My spirit is everywhere. I am the Spirit of God. Wherever God is, I am. The Father told me so. And now the Son of God, which you are accepting, which is loved by the Father, expresses among men and among women. And a new force is released to bless all who come in contact with your spirit. Perhaps they'll mail you a letter and get an answer before you get the letter, as Joel often reported. Why? Because I, the Spirit of God called Joel, am everywhere. Do you see where we're coming now? We are abandoning the obsolete concepts of mortality. We are moving into another realm while we are still comfortable with it. We're not trying to leave our skins. We'll stay with them a while, but our consciousness is expanding. We are following the simple statements of a very simple, loving disciple who made every one of his statements a fact about what he himself had discovered through the years to be the pure truth of God. We haven't even begun to touch the subject of love. For example, you say, I love my child. God says, I love my child. Speaking of what you call your child, what's the difference then between God's love for your child and your love for your child? Can you see a difference? God's love for your child is forever. God's love for your child is infinite. God's love for your child is beyond all the human power on earth. The intensity of that love compared to our human love, the power of that love to instill divine life and release divine life in that child is something no human can do. If you were to talk about horsepower, it would be like human love is 1 horsepower to 5 million kilowatts of divine love. So when you're in the power of divine love, you could be a 2-year-old baby, and all of the 2-year-old babies in the world could be killed, but how could you be killed? How could a Herod kill you when you are in divine love? That was like releasing a laser beam into everyone on the earth who came in contact with the Christ. That laser beam of divine love burned through everything that was negative, false, untrue. And it did it perfectly, without being directed, just finding its own level, its own target, and annihilating the opposition, the falsity. This is the immense difference between human and divine love. One carries unlimited power available to us, measured out to the precise level of every need. And this is the age for the release of that power, our most significant resource. If you doubt that divine love is here, where you stand, and wherever you stand, and whenever you stand, if you doubt its presence, you also doubt the presence of God. Because where God is, divine love is. It's been with you since the day you were rocked in a cradle. And the senses of man, unaware of it, have been busy trying to find what you already have. I suppose you know now where paradise has been all these years. Where God is, where divine love is, where Christ is, paradise is. The instant your spirit and soul come alive as one, in that instant of recognition that Christ becomes your realization, you are in paradise. That is the moment of the awareness of the presence of paradise. The moment of Christing. Is your birth in paradise. Actually, your rebirth. Now, we're setting some things in motion here that are going to pay dividends. And one of the chief dividends is going to be your new body, your Christ body. This Christ body is actually the very substance of God. And every time you accept your identity as the living substance of God, you're clearing the way for the actual realization of that Christ body to live in the eternal reality of being. When you say, I am alive everywhere, don't limit it to this world or to galaxies unseen. I am alive in the infinite creation of the Father, everywhere. I am alive in eternity, everywhere. Put your claim on the land that the Father has given you. Let's go back several reincarnations now. The illusion that you lived then and died then should be broken. I am alive in eternity, in every direction. I am alive in every seeming lifespan that I've already passed from, just as I am alive in every tomorrow. Eternity includes all time. There is no past and no future in eternity. Eternity is now, and that which seemed to be past is now in eternity. That which seems to be future is now in eternity, and I, Son of God, am alive in eternity now. All my past lifespans, all my past problems, all my past deaths and births, all my past frustrations and diseases, all the terrible things I experienced, were all part of a cosmic dream to get you to the point where your soul could be brought into the Christ experience. Christ has now led your soul to this point. You never know what Christ is saying to your soul. It comes out in terms of human words. But the human words are not what's happening. They're just to give you a clue. Christ doesn't talk to your soul in human words. But Christ is constantly talking to your soul in a divine language all its own. And the comprehension that comes through is changed over to the language you happen to speak. If it were French, it would be changed to French. If it were Russian, it would be changed to Russian. We happen to be in America, and it changes to English. It's a sort of an international exchange which automatically translates the conversation between your soul and the Christ into the language your mind can understand. But there is a constant rapport there, and that rapport is changing your outer self. The more you understand it, the more you will work with it again instead of against it. We are all going through a great change. And you will soon see why it is a necessary change. Let us release ourselves now to divine love. Let us feel it. Let us know its presence. Let's feel it everywhere, throughout our spiritual being. So that when you are not consciously expressing it, you'll miss it. Just as if you would miss the air if it were not here. Divine love should be part of your daily experience. That love which you are trying to experience is leading your soul right now to the awareness of its own spirit. That is the kind of love to which your soul responds, the love of the Father. It is the love of Christ leading your soul to your spirit. It is always working. And it works best when you acknowledge it. I have always felt that on the human scene, the attraction of man for woman is an outward echo or imitation of the magnetic pull between soul and spirit within. And that as these two great forces move toward each other in the outer, man and woman are attracted to each other. When they do find each other, and the birth of Christ in you takes place, the sexual attraction of male for female vanishes. They are united into oneness on another plane, and are no longer two on this plane. These are strange things happening to us. We must get used to the idea of strangeness. Expect it. Look for it. Invite it. In your Christing, You become a whole being. Spirit and soul, male and female, one, realized. You move up out of this plane of the sexual attraction. And so if maybe you felt some of that up to now, it might be a sign that your soul and spirit union is closer than you had thought. May we close tonight with a meditation recognizing the infinity of our life in its full divine nature. One infinite divine life I am. One infinite divine life I am. That all space is not what it appears. It is all my divine life. All eternity is my divine life. All yesterdays are my divine life. There is nowhere anyone can go where your and my divine life is not already existent. Do you realize that the divine life of Christ is everywhere? There's no place in all creation where the divine life of Christ is not. And Christ is the Son of God. And you are the Son of God. And you are honoring the Son by accepting the life of God everywhere, which is Christ. All divisions gone from your consciousness. All sense of separation. All fractions. Nothing left but a little mind somewhere that says, this is a little too big for me. That little mind, when it goes, you've got it. Well, maybe now we're beginning to love each other spiritually. At least we made a start. And so our divine life will pick up in the morning right where we left off. We'll see you then.